Today's vinyasa will leave you feeling stronger and more flexible in equal measures. We're focusing on full body conditioning while emphasizing the fluidity and dexterity of classical ballet technique. In particular, we're deepening our flexibility in the hips and the spine. So if you're ready to join me, then let's get started. Begin our practice standing up at the top of the mat, feet about hip-width distance apart. And as you inhale, go ahead and bring the shoulders up toward the ears. Exhaling, rolling the shoulders far down away from the ears a couple of times. Lengthening the crown of the head toward the sky and feeling some space opening up in between the vertebrae as you stand as tall as you can. And then on the next inhale, clench your fists and tense every muscle in your body as tightly as you can for a count of 3. And then release every muscle in your body, feeling a deeper sense of relaxation take over. Feel free to leave your hands at your sides or bring your hands to heart center and begin breathing in and out through the nose as though you're fogging up a mirror on the exhale, coming into Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breath. Taking a moment to leave the previous day behind and find yourself in the present moment, completely focused on the sensation of the breath as it travels in and out, filling up the belly, engaging the diaphragm, turning on the parasympathetic nervous system as you engage the vagus nerve, maybe lengthening the exhales. And then taking a side stretch, reaching up toward the sky, clasping that left wrist with the right hand, rooting the left heel into the earth, and then reaching over toward the right, looking up under the left arm. Inhaling back to center, clasping the right wrist with the left hand, rooting that right heel into the earth, and then taking a nice deep side stretch over toward the left, looking up under the right arm this time. And then coming back to center, taking that deep inhale and reaching up, baby back bend. As you exhale, deep forward fold. Keeping a nice bend in the knees here and letting the chest rest on the tops of the thighs. Clasping each elbow with opposite hands and coming into a ragdoll, maybe swaying a little bit from side to side. Really encouraging more and more space to open up between those discs and the vertebrae. Shaking the head from side to side. Nodding it back and forth, bringing a little bit of lubrication and movement in the neck area. This initial forward fold at the beginning of your practice is always a wonderful opportunity to let go of any energy that's no longer in service to your highest well-being. Just imagining any heavy thoughts or feelings, any stagnant energy that you no longer wish to carry, just traveling out of the top of your head and into the earth where it can be transmuted. Just releasing any of this old energy out of your body now. You no longer need to carry this. Breathing in fresh waves of prana, drawing energy up through the bottoms of your feet. And maybe taking an opportunity to open up the shoulders here, clasping the hands behind the back. On the next breath, releasing the hands back toward the earth and taking an inhale, looking forward, extending that spine. As you exhale, firmly planting the hands on the mat, and the first time just stepping back into your plank position, lowering all the way down, finding your chest on the mat, and then inhaling into a baby cobra here, keeping some length in the back of the neck, and making sure that you're not putting too much weight into the fingertips, engaging through the glutes and the backs of the legs, and on an exhale, following the rhythm of your own breath, waving the forehead toward the floor, inhaling, waving the spine up just back into this baby cobra, not too deep of a back bend. And then on the next breath, pressing into the hands, coming through your plank into this downward facing dog, option to always come through your tabletop, sending the hips high, and then just walking out the dog here, bending one knee and then the other, following your own pace and finding a rhythm that works for you. Feeling some space opening up in the backs of the legs, waking up those hamstrings. And then checking the distribution of your weight, pressing into the fingertips, maybe even tenting the fingertips all the way, shifting the weight back onto the heels a little bit. And then on the next breath, we're coming right into a series of spinal rolls. So follow the momentum of your own breath and find a pace that works for you. Inhaling, coming up on the balls of the feet, rounding the spine, looking toward the belly button, shifting over the wrists. And then on the exhale, coming almost into a plank, arching the spine, bending the knees a little bit if that feels good for you. Imagining that you're like a wave in the ocean, just rolling through this posture. Really developing this relationship with your breath and following your own natural inhale and exhale as you let that momentum guide you. On the next inhale, reversing the spinal roll, shifting forward over the wrists, almost coming into a plank as you arch the spine, and then rounding the spine, finding your way back into that downward facing dog and looking toward the belly button, coming up on the balls of the feet. And then eventually meeting me right back in downward facing dog, sending the hips high, and then coming up onto the balls of the feet, bending through the knees, and either stepping or floating toward the top of the mat. Following the inhale, flat back, exhaling, forward fold. On the next inhale, coming into a chair pose, tracing the alignment by first touching your shoulders and then reaching the palms of the hands overhead, biceps next to the ears, shoulders rolled down, squeezing the inner thighs together, and then as you exhale, forward fold, nose to your knees. Inhale, flat back, looking forward, extending the vertebrae. Exhale, deepening the forward fold. On the next inhale, root to rise, standing tall, reaching toward the sky. Exhaling, bringing the hands to heart center. As you inhale, reaching toward the sky, baby back bend, and exhaling, swan dive forward, nose toward your knees, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And on the next breath, we're coming right into our crow pose. So stabilizing through the palms of the hands, nestling the knees into the backs of the arms, into the triceps, and slowly floating the toes off of the floor, tucking the heels in toward the hips as much as possible, taking 3 solid breaths here. And then as you exhale, floating the left foot back to the mat, keeping that right foot off the floor and shifting onto the side of the left foot, reaching for the right heel or the instep or the toes if you'd like on that right foot, and extending that right leg toward the sky. Taking 3 solid breaths here, finding your stability and finding your way back into this pose. If you feel a little wobbly at first, that's okay. After you've finished your 3 breaths here, slowly disconnect that right hand from the right foot, momentarily keeping the right foot high toward the sky, and then slowly letting the right foot find the floor behind you as you come into your wild thing, sending those hips toward the sky, sweeping that right arm around the body, and then following the momentum, replacing that right hand on the mat and sending the right leg high in a 3-legged dog. Deep inhale here. As you exhale, crossing that right ankle over the left knee, finding a figure 4, resting that right hip on the floor as you graze the left fingertips on the floor behind you, and then following the momentum, replacing the left hand on the mat, coming back into your 3-legged dog. Inhale here. As you exhale, right knee comes toward the chest, planting the right foot on the floor and rising up into a high crescent lunge. Following the inhale and reaching high toward the sky, lifting the chest up, opening the heart. Exhaling, cactusing the arms out wide, and then letting the arms frame out the right foot once more as you slowly let that left knee touch the floor, gently settling into this low crescent lunge and letting the back of that left foot find the floor, lifting the chest even higher as you bend through the top portion of your spine. Just finding a really gentle back bend here, not going too dramatically into this right at first. Feeling that left quadricep and the left psoas opening up more deeply. One more deep inhale here, lifting the chest high, opening that heart center even more deeply. And as you exhale, framing out that right foot, letting the left toes flip back over and sending the right leg high into three-legged dog. Deep inhale as you exhale, floating toward the floor into three-legged chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, rolling over the toes if it's available to you into your downward facing dog. Deep inhale, deep exhale. One more deep breath here. And then coming up onto the toes, bending through the knees and floating toward the top of the mat. On the inhale, taking a flat back, looking forward, extending the spine long. Exhale, deepening the forward fold. Following the breath right into your chair pose, sinking the hips deeply, squeezing the thighs together, and then exhaling right back into your forward fold. Following the breath, root to rise, standing tall and reaching toward the sky. Exhale, reconnect, hands come to heart center. Deep breath into the abdomen, engaging the vagus nerve. On the next breath, inhaling, reaching tall, slight back bend. Exhaling, swan dive forward, nose toward your knees. And then inhale, flattening the back, looking forward. As you exhale, nose toward your knees, forward fold. Finding your way now into your crow pose, nestling the knees into the triceps, finding the stability here and taking 3 deep breaths. Locking into your focal point, staying focused, staying strong, and forgiving yourself if you wobble or if you fall out of it. Just find your way back in. When you're ready, begin floating that right leg to meet the floor behind you, keeping the left leg off of the floor, shifting onto the outside of the right foot, bringing the weight onto the right arm, connecting the left hand with the inside of the left foot, and slowly unfolding the left leg and the left arm toward the sky at the same time, keeping those hips lifted away from the floor throughout the entire transition. Several solid breaths here, breathing deeply into the diaphragm and pointing those toes. And then very slowly releasing the left hand from the left foot, keeping the left foot pointed toward the sky. And then slowly bending in through that left leg and letting the left foot find the floor behind you as you come into your wild thing, sending those hips high toward the sky, finding a deeper arch in the spine and sweeping that left arm around the entire body. And then bringing that left hand back toward the mat, sending the left foot high toward the sky, three-legged dog. As you exhale, bringing that left ankle into your figure 4, crossing it over the right knee, letting the left hip touch the floor, grazing the floor behind you with the right fingertips, and then following this flow of rhythm, coming right back into your three-legged dog, sending that left leg high. As you exhale, bringing that left knee in toward the nose, and then planting that left foot on the floor in front of you and rising up into a high lunge. Reaching up toward the sky as you inhale, and as you exhale, cactusing the arms out wide, opening the heart even more. And then on the next breath, framing out that left foot and slowly finding your way into this low crescent lunge, slowly letting that right knee kiss the floor, letting the top of the right foot find the floor as well, and then balancing yourself with your fingertips, raising that chest even higher toward the sky and emphasizing any bend in your back in the upper portion of your spine, keeping those shoulders rolled away from the ears, left knee stacked right over the left ankle, feeling that right quadricep and the right hip opening up. And then taking one more deep breath here before you frame out that left foot with both hands, flipping those right toes back under and sending that left leg high into your three-legged dog. Deep inhale. As you exhale, find your three-legged chaturanga slowly floating toward the floor. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhale, rolling over those toes into downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here, filling up the abdomen, oxygenating the bloodstream. On the next breath, coming up on the toes, bending through the knees and floating toward the top of the mat. Inhale, extending the spine, looking forward. Exhaling, deepening the forward fold. Following the breath right into chair pose, sinking the hips toward the floor, and exhaling right back into a forward fold. Inhaling, flat back, looking forward. Exhaling, forward fold, feeling this momentum pick up. On the next breath, we're coming back into our crow pose, nestling those knees into the backs of the arms, letting the toes slowly float off of the floor, locking the gaze into a focal point in front of you. Several solid breaths here. And then when you're ready, floating the left leg back to the floor, shifting onto the outside of the left foot, shifting the weight onto the left arm, connecting that right arm with the right leg, and slowly letting the right leg and the right arm unfold together toward the sky. Solidifying and strengthening your relationship with your breath here. Giving yourself grace and compassion and letting this transition be as messy as it needs to be. After several solid breaths, releasing that right arm from the right foot and slowly letting that right foot find the floor behind you as you transition into your wild thing, sending the hips high, circling that right arm around the body and then following the momentum, replacing the right hand on the floor, sending the right leg back into your three-legged dog. And as you exhale, crossing that right ankle over the left knee, finding a figure 4, letting that right hip kiss the floor, left fingertips graze the floor behind you, and then replacing the left hand back on the mat, sending the right leg high into your three-legged dog. Deep inhale. As you exhale, right knee comes toward the chest, and we're coming right into this low crescent lunge on the right side, letting that left knee touch down on the floor, lifting the chest toward the sky, letting the back of that left foot find the floor, and maybe deepening this crescent lunge back bend this time. Always remembering that we're emphasizing the back bend in the upper portion of the vertebrae, never hinging in the lower back. And you're welcome to stay right here in this low crescent lunge, or if you'd like to go a little further, you can begin floating that left foot off of the floor, letting the left hand meet the back of the left foot, and deepening that stretch in through that left quadricep and the left psoas, that front left hip area. And if you'd like to, you can begin flipping your grip, holding on to that left foot with the right arm, and maybe even touching the back of the head with the left foot, never forcing yourself into a deeper pose than you're ready for, listening to the wisdom of your body here and what it's telling you. Knowing that there's no rush, taking as much time as you need to organize your body and your balance so that you can find your way into this back bend. And once you find the balance, taking the opportunity to let your consciousness touch the depth of this now moment, creating a singular focus on this one point in time. And on your next breath, very slowly releasing this back bend, releasing that left foot, and coming into a lizard pose, bringing both hands to the inside of the right foot, maybe letting that right knee splay out a little bit toward the right, shifting onto the outside of the right foot, and letting the chest float toward the floor as much as possible. Playing around here a little bit with the pose, maybe leaning a little bit more toward the left, maybe a little bit more toward the right, just seeing what feels good in your body. And then on the next breath, slowly shifting your way back into a three-legged dog, framing out the right foot with both hands, flipping those left toes over, and sending the right leg high toward the sky on an inhale. As you exhale, find your way into three-legged chaturanga, floating the chest toward the floor, and then on an inhale, powerful upward-facing dog. Exhale, rolling over the toes into downward-facing dog. Deep inhale, deep exhale, and then taking a deep bend in through the knees, floating toward the top of the mat, and inhaling, lengthening the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Following the next inhale right into a chair pose, and then immediately back down into a forward fold on the exhale. Following the breath, inhale, lengthening the spine, looking forward. Exhale, forward fold. Coming right back into your crow pose, finding the stability, finding the balance, nestling the knees into the triceps, locking your gaze into a focal point as you float the toes off of the floor, taking 3 solid breaths. When you're ready, begin floating that right leg to meet the floor behind you, keeping the left leg off of the floor and then folding the left foot and the left hand toward the sky together, opening that front plane of the body, keeping those hips lifted high off the floor and bringing your awareness right back to your breath. On the next breath, slowly releasing that left hand from the left foot and letting that left foot find the floor behind you, coming into your wild thing, sending the hips high, arching the back, reaching behind you with that left hand, and then coming right back into your three-legged dog, replacing the left hand on the mat and sending the left leg high. Taking a deep inhale and a full extension. And then as you exhale, crossing that left ankle over the right knee, letting that left hip touch the floor as you graze the floor behind you with the right fingertips. Following the rhythm of your breath, replacing that right hand on the mat and sending the left foot high toward the sky, pointing the toes, taking a deep inhale, and as you exhale, bringing that left knee in toward the chest, planting the left foot on the floor, and letting that right knee slowly kiss the floor as you find your low crescent lunge, letting the back of the right foot find the floor and lifting the chest toward the sky, opening the heart, balancing yourself with your fingertips and taking this back bend as deep as you would like to go with it today, listening to your body. And if you'd like to, you can continue staying in this low crescent lunge, or you can begin floating that right foot off of the floor to meet the right hand, managing your balance in a way that works for your body, and either staying right here, opening up that right quadricep, letting the right hip find a deeper stretch, or perhaps challenging your balance a little bit more deeply and flipping your grip so that your right elbow is pointed toward the sky, connecting that right hand with the back of the right foot, and maybe even letting the crown of the head find that right foot, taking as much time as you need to settle into this balance. Again, giving yourself permission to wobble around as much as you need to find the balance, releasing judgment, and just taking a moment to fully appreciate yourself and love on yourself for showing up today and trying no matter where you are in this pose, no matter where you are in your practice. You're doing an incredible job. And then very gently, very slowly start releasing the back bend and letting that right foot find the floor behind you, bringing both arms to the inside of the left foot and letting that left knee splay out toward the left, coming onto the outside of the left foot, and just sinking the chest toward the floor, maybe bringing that right hip a little bit closer toward the floor as well. There's really no right way to do this pose. Make it your own. And then on the next breath, flipping those right toes back under and sending that left leg high toward the sky. Deep inhale, full extension, pointing the left toes. And then as you exhale, coming into three-legged chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Deep inhale, deep exhale through the nose, pressing in through the fingertips. Feeling the difference in the sensations since the beginning of your practice and how the backs of the legs have opened up. And then just slowly begin tiptoeing toward the top of the mat, bringing your heels a little bit wider than hip width distance apart, and then begin sinking your hips down toward the mat, coming into Malasana, a yogi squat. Elbows come to the inside of the knees, lengthening the crown of the head toward the sky. Shoulders are rolled down away from the ears. Hands come to heart center. And just let yourself take 2 or 3 solid breaths here, in and out through the nose, filling up the belly. And then after you've finished taking your breaths, go ahead and find your way into a reclined position, rolling your back onto the mat and hugging the knees in toward the chest. Maybe even rocking a little bit from side to side, giving that lower back area a massage. Just thanking yourself for all of the work that you've done here today. And then on the next breath, begin rolling yourself up into a shoulder stand, supporting the lower back with the hands, bringing the elbows underneath you and stacking the ankles right over the knees, which are right over the hips, lengthening the back of the neck, tucking the chin in toward the chest. And then slowly begin bringing your feet behind you, finding a plow pose. Palms of the hands are pressed either into the mat or perhaps supporting the lower back, feeling that release in the lower back. And then releasing the hips back toward the floor, coming into a happy baby, maybe rocking a little bit from side to side. And then at your own pace, just begin coming into Shavasana, maybe taking any last stretch that your body is asking for before you fully release into this last pose. Bring the palms of the hands next to the body facing toward the sky. Allow the toes to roll apart and just feel the points of contact between your body and the earth beneath you. Feeling the breath as it changes pace, not trying to control it or guide it. Just watching the breath as it breathes you. And then bringing your consciousness all the way down to the tips of your toes. Taking a scan across the tops of your feet and the bottoms of your feet. Moving now up to your ankles, your calves and your shins. Moving up to your knees and the tops of your legs all the way up to your hips. And feeling the entire lower body now as it sinks more deeply into the earth, releasing any small amount of muscle tension that you might be carrying in this area of the body. And then moving up now to the solar plexus, up the ribs to the chest, scanning the back, out across the chest now to the shoulders, and moving down the upper arms, down to the elbows, down the forearms to the wrists, and feeling each hand and all of the fingertips melting open even more deeply, releasing any muscle tension in this upper area of your body, releasing any tension you may be holding in the upper back, the mid back, or the lower back. And just feeling your entire body now as it seems to melt into the earth, as all of the muscles in your body unhug the bones. You are completely safe here. There is no risk of falling. The earth is holding you. And now bring your awareness up the neck, up to the jawline, to the mouth, to the cheeks. Just feeling all of these little muscles around the jawline relax. Moving now up to the eyebrows and the forehead, and feeling all of these little muscles in the face release and relax more deeply than ever. Feeling your eyes sinking deeper into the back of your head. And moving now to the top of your scalp, the crown of your head. And feeling all of the little muscles in your scalp melt into the earth in a deeper state of relaxation. Feeling yourself plugged into the energy of the earth, as the earth nourishes you with healing, replenishing energy. Feeling fresh waves of prana moving through every cell of your body. Releasing any stagnant energy that no longer serves your highest well-being. And fully entering the eternity of this now moment, allowing it to completely reset your entire body, your mental body, your emotional body, your breath body, your physical body. Every layer of your being is replenished now. And at your own pace, whenever you feel ready to, begin bringing a little bit of movement to your fingertips and your toes. Maybe a little bit of movement to your ankles and your wrists. And feel yourself emerging back into the surface level of reality, bringing yourself back up to a waking state of consciousness, completely refreshed on every level, energized, relaxed, and focused on this now moment, no matter where your day takes you, knowing that you carry the energy of this well-being with you wherever you go. And whenever you're ready, just begin rolling over onto the left side, the side of your heart. Bring your knees in toward your chest in the fetal position, staying here for as long as you need to. And then when you're ready, begin pressing yourself up with your right hand and join me in a cross-legged seated position. Thank you for joining me today. With love, namaste.